Captain Jake Martinez couldn't make sense of what he was seeing on his display. The data didn't add up. Something was generating energy signatures in the void ahead, but that region was supposed to be empty. His vessel, the Horizon Dawn, floated 3 days from the closest solar system. "Lisa, I need your eyes on this," he said to his science officer. Dr. Lisa Warren drifted across in the ship's reduced gravity. She was humanity's finest xenobiologist, and Jake valued her insights above anyone else aboard. Her keen gaze locked onto the strange patterns flickering across the screen. "This is remarkable," she breathed. "These energy signatures don't match anything in our database. They're structured in ways that suggest deliberate design." Jake felt his pulse quicken. The Horizon Dawn was built for discovery, not combat. With only a dozen souls aboard and cutting-edge research equipment, they had one clear purpose: venture into unmapped territory and search for intelligent life beyond Earth. "Pete, move us in closer," Jake commanded, "but keep our drives hot in case we need to bolt." Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan's voice crackled from below. He was a veteran spacer with 3 decades keeping vessels operational. If trouble hit, Pete would bring them through. The Horizon Dawn crept forward. Jake noticed the readings intensifying. Whatever lay ahead dwarfed their modest research craft. His chest tightened with equal parts wonder and apprehension. Meeting another species was every explorer's ultimate goal, but it carried immense risk. "Captain," Communications Officer Roy Blake announced, "sensors are showing something massive, roughly 10 kilometers in length, heading our way." Jake's breath caught. 10 kilometers. Their ship measured barely 300 meters. He activated the ship-wide channel. "All crew, this is your captain speaking. We've made contact with an unidentified vessel. Hold your positions and stay focused. We may be witnessing a historic moment." The alien craft materialized on their view screen. It was simultaneously magnificent and menacing. Dark metallic surfaces bore intricate designs that pulsed with internal luminescence. Despite its colossal size, it moved with fluid elegance. "They're scanning our systems," Lisa reported. "Their tech is leagues beyond anything we've developed." Jake opened hailing frequency. "Unidentified craft. I'm Captain Jake Martinez of the human research vessel Horizon Dawn. We approach with peaceful intentions. We'd appreciate a response." Silence stretched for what felt like hours. Then their translation software began processing an incoming transmission. "Curious," came the response in fractured human speech. "Such fragile beings in a delicate shell. How quaint." Jake forced himself to stay composed. The tone seemed condescending, though perhaps that was just a translation glitch. "We're explorers from Earth. Our mission is to establish friendly relations with intelligent civilizations. We'd be honored to learn about your culture." Lisa activated their data package, transmitting our stellar maps and basic information about our species, she explained. "Showing them we mean no harm." The massive ship closed the distance between them. Jake could now see smaller craft swarming around it like bees around a hive. Their technology made human engineering look primitive by comparison. "Your gesture is acknowledged, tiny ones," the transmission continued. "We are the Veltar Empire. This sector has belonged to us for 10,000 of your solar cycles. You will depart immediately." Jake struggled to understand. "We're not looking for conflict. We're researchers. Perhaps we could exchange knowledge." "Exchange?" The alien voice carried unmistakable amusement. "What could vermin possibly offer us? You've existed in space for mere moments. We've dominated these stars since before your kind discovered fire." Dr. Warren's expression grew troubled. "Captain, their scanning has become invasive. They're probing deep into our core system." Jake tried a different approach. "We acknowledge your technological superiority. We respect your position. We're simply hoping to establish dialogue and maybe find mutual benefit." Another agonizing pause. Jake could hear every breath his crew took in the stillness. All eyes remained fixed on the view screen, waiting. "Mutual benefit." The alien voice produced a sound like metal scraping stone. "You misread the situation entirely, insignificant creatures. This territory isn't yours. This galaxy isn't yours. You're pests who've wandered where you don't belong." A cold sensation crept down Jake's spine. This wasn't unfolding as he'd hoped. "If you want us gone, we'll leave. Fighting isn't what we came for." "Fighting." Another grinding laugh. "You cannot oppose us, vermin. Your only option is to perish." Energy began gathering along the alien vessel's hull. Jake saw their weapons charging. "All hands, defensive positions," he shouted, knowing it was futile. The Horizon Dawn had minimal shielding and no offensive capabilities. "Please," Jake transmitted desperately. "We have loved ones waiting for us. We have young children. Our intentions were peaceful. Peace requires equality." The alien responded coldly. "You are not our equals. You are beneath notice." The alien weapons discharged, Brilliant energy beams slammed into the horizon dawn. The ship convulsed violently. Systems began failing throughout the vessel. Jake heard Pete screaming from engineering that they were hemorrhaging power. Lisa, get a distress beacon out, Jake ordered. Make sure Earth knows what happened. Dr. Warren's hands moved frantically across her console. Loading everything to the automated probe, she confirmed. If it makes it home, they'll understand what we encountered. The alien ship fired a second volley. This time the beams carved through the Horizon Dawn's hull like heated wire through wax. Jake felt the vessel disintegrating around him. Alarms wailed as atmosphere vented into the void. Tell them, Jake said to Lisa, as darkness closed in. Tell them, we wanted friendship. The Horizon Dawn detonated in a brilliant flash. 12 human lives extinguished in an instant. The alien craft observed the destruction with satisfaction. Clear this debris, Commander Zithal instructed his crew. These pests have cluttered our domain. The Veltar vessel turned away, already forgetting the humans they'd just eliminated. It was a minor incident, hardly memorable. They had important duties awaiting them. Hidden in an asteroid's shadow, the automated probe recorded everything. It waited until the alien craft vanished, then began its long voyage back to human territory. The information it carried would alter everything, but the Veltar remained ignorant. They'd exterminated some pests and continued their routine. Soon they'd return home and enter their traditional hibernation cycle. 6 months of peaceful rest awaited them. They had no clue that 6 months gave humanity more than enough time to craft their response. 6 months later, the damaged probe finally reached Earth. Its systems were barely functioning, but its message came through crystal clear. Admiral Rick Coleman sat in his Earth Defense Command office, reviewing the footage for the 5th time. His hands trembled with rage. The recording showed everything. Captain Martinez attempting diplomacy, the aliens mocking human offers of cooperation, the casual murder of 12 innocent people, the indifferent way they obliterated the ship and departed. Run it again, Admiral Coleman told his aide. Sir, you've watched this enough, said General Amy Foster, standing beside his desk. We all have. Admiral Coleman met her eyes with exhaustion etched in his features. Have we? Because each time I watch I keep hoping for a different outcome. Maybe the aliens gave them a chance. Maybe our people provoked them somehow. General Foster shook her head firmly. They did everything right, Rick. They followed every protocol for first contact. They offered cooperation, scientific exchange, even peaceful withdrawal. The aliens murdered them for entertainment. The recording played once more. Admiral Coleman listened to Captain Martinez's final transmission. Tell them, we wanted friendship. The captain's voice remained steady even as his ship died. What intelligence do we have on these Veltar? Admiral Coleman asked. Intelligence Director Carl Brooks stepped forward holding a tablet. He was a gaunt man who rarely spoke, but his words carried weight when he did. We've analyzed every frame of that recording. The aliens claim they've ruled their sector for 10 millennia. Their technology far surpasses ours. They view us as insects. Insects. Admiral Coleman repeated, the word turning his stomach. Sir, said Carl, there's another detail. Watch this segment carefully. The recording showed the alien ship after the attack. Through their transparent bridge, crew members were visible talking and laughing. One alien was consuming something while another gestured at the floating debris from the human vessel. They're celebrating, General Foster said quietly. No, Carl corrected. Look more carefully. They're indifferent. This wasn't entertainment for them. It was like crushing a bug. They forgot about it immediately. Admiral Coleman rose slowly. He was 60 years old with 4 decades of service in space. He'd seen pirates, mining disputes and colonial conflicts, but never anything like this casual, dismissive murder. Get me Dr. Helen Price, he said. Dr. Price arrived within the hour. She was Earth's premier expert on alien psychology, though she'd never studied actual extraterrestrials before. She was a petite woman with piercing eyes who examined the recording with clinical interest. What's your assessment, Helen? Admiral Coleman asked. A species that's been dominant so long they've forgotten what resistance feels like, she replied. They're apex predators who haven't faced a genuine challenge in thousands of years. They perceive other species the way we might perceive microbes. Can we negotiate with them? Price shook her head decisively. Do you negotiate with the ants in your garden? These aliens don't recognize us as sentient beings. To them, we're just biological interference that occasionally crosses their path. Admiral Coleman sank into his chair heavily. So what's our move? We have 2 options, Dr. Price said. We can hide and pray they ignore us, or we can demonstrate they made a terrible mistake. The news reached Mars the following day. The colonial government immediately declared martial law, not to suppress people but to channel their fury. Every human settlement throughout the solar system received the recording. The reaction was universal: cold, burning anger. On Europa Station, miners paused their work to watch the recording. In the asteroid belt, cargo ship crews transmitted it across every communication network. The outer colonies, hardened people living on civilization's edge, saw it and began to transform. Dr. Susan Clark was conducting research in her Titan laboratory when she watched the recording. She was humanity's leading expert on faster-than-light propulsion. She watched Captain Martinez die and made a decision that would reshape the galaxy. "Computer," she said, "initiate Project Lightning. Authorization Susan Clark, Alpha 7. Her computer hesitated. "Dr. Clark, Project Lightning has been classified as excessively dangerous for development." "Override," she commanded. "Emergency authorization. The project is now operational." Throughout human space, similar conversations were occurring. Engineers were retrieving dangerous projects from archives. Scientists were abandoning safety protocols. Military commanders were mobilizing reserves. Tony Blake, humanity's premier ship designer, received the recording while working at the Mars shipyards. He watched it once, then walked to his secure terminal and began designing. The vessels he conceived that day were unlike anything humans had ever constructed. The message spread to Earth's colonies beyond the solar system. New California, New Texas, Nova Scotia. Every human world saw the recording. Even children too young to comprehend sensed the change in the adults around them. Within a week, humanity was transforming itself. The change wasn't mandated by any government. It came from the people themselves. Every human who saw the recording understood that their species was at war. Captain Roy Mitchell was commanding a patrol ship near the outer rim when he received the message. He was a career military officer with 20 years keeping pirates away from trade routes. He watched the recording and immediately altered course for Earth. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we're supposed to maintain our patrol schedule." "Not anymore," Captain Mitchell said. "Send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them I'm volunteering for combat duty." "What combat, sir?" Captain Mitchell stared at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, the aliens who had murdered Captain Martinez were conducting their normal lives. They'd probably already forgotten the humans. "The combat they started when they killed our people," he said. Meanwhile, in their distant corner of space, the Veltar Empire was preparing for their traditional hibernation cycle. It was an ancient ritual that helped preserve their extended lifespans. For 6 months, their entire civilization would sleep. Commander Zethol, the alien who had ordered the attack on the Horizon Dawn, was among the first to enter hibernation. As he settled into his sleeping chamber, he felt satisfied with his recent patrol. He had cleared some space debris and eliminated a few pests. It had been a productive service period. The Veltar went to sleep, believing the galaxy remained exactly as they'd left it. They had no idea that 6 months was an eternity in human time. They didn't know that humans could construct a war machine in the time it took them to take a nap. As the last Veltar leader entered hibernation, humanity was already mobilizing. The message resonated in every human heart. Remember the dawn. Remember Captain Martinez and his crew. Remember that somewhere in the darkness, aliens were laughing about killing humans for sport. The galaxy was about to learn something new about humanity. They were about to discover what happened when you hurt the wrong species. 3 months into the hibernation period, humanity had become something else entirely. The transformation was so complete that aliens observing from distant systems couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Tony Blake stood in the main construction bay of the Mars shipyards, watching his latest creation take form. The ship stretched 3 kilometers and looked nothing like the peaceful vessels humans had built previously. Its hull bristled with weapons that could annihilate entire fleets. "How many can we produce?" asked Admiral Coleman, who had come to inspect the new design. 50 this month, Tony replied. 100 next month. After that we'll be producing them faster than we can track. Admiral Coleman walked around the massive vessel. 6 months ago, the largest human warship measured 800 meters. Now they were building vessels that dwarfed anything they'd ever imagined. "What's it called?" he asked. "The Remember Dawn class," Tony said. "Every ship we produce carries the names of Captain Martinez and his crew." Across the solar system, similar construction was happening everywhere. The asteroid belt had been converted into the largest shipyard in human history. Entire asteroids were being carved up and transformed into warships. The sound of construction never ceased. Dr. Susan Clark had relocated her laboratory to a secret facility near Jupiter. She was working 18-hour days on her faster-than-light project. Her breakthrough came when she stopped trying to be safe and started trying to be fast. Computer, run test sequence 47, she said. Clark, this configuration has a 70% chance of catastrophic failure, her computer warned. Run it anyway, she said. The test succeeded. Her new drive could move ships twice as fast as anything humans had built previously. It was dangerous and unreliable, but it would give human fleets the speed they needed to strike the sleeping empire. Send the designs to all shipyards, she ordered. Emergency priority. Dr. Clark, this technology needs more testing, her assistant protested. The Veltar tested our patients when they murdered our people, she replied. Now we test our weapons on them. On Earth, every major city had been converted into a war production center. Factories that once made consumer goods now produced weapons and armor. Universities had become military research centers. Even schools were teaching children how to support the war effort. Captain Roy Mitchell was now Admiral Mitchell, commanding the first human strike fleet. His flagship was one of Tony Blake's new super destroyers armed with weapons that could crack planets. He stood on the bridge watching his fleet gather in space. How many ships do we have ready? He asked his second-in-command. Captain Nancy Bell. 2,000 in the first wave, she replied. Another 5,000 will be ready within the month. Admiral Mitchell nodded. Before the Horizon Dawn incident, the entire human fleet had been 300 ships, mostly explorers and cargo vessels. Now they had more warships than the rest of the galaxy combined. What about intelligence on the Veltar? Captain Bell activated a hologram, showing the alien empire. We've mapped their entire territory, 47 major worlds, over 300 colonies, all of them currently defenseless while they sleep. The hologram showed Veltar worlds spinning peacefully in space. Their cities were dark, their fleets motionless. An entire empire was taking a nap while humanity built the means to destroy them. They think 6 months is nothing, Admiral Mitchell said. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The transformation wasn't just about ships and weapons. Humanity itself was changing. The people who had been peaceful explorers and traders were becoming something harder, colder, more focused. Commander Matt Thompson led a special unit called the Deep Strike Force. Their job was to scout enemy territory and prepare for the coming attack. His ships were painted black and moved through space like ghosts. Remember, he told his crews, we are not the same species that sent the Horizon Dawn on a peaceful mission. We are what the Veltar created when they chose murder over friendship. His scouts had penetrated deep into enemies. They watched the sleeping cities, mapped the defense systems, and counted the ships. The aliens had no idea humans were there. It's almost too easy, said Captain Diane Wells, one of Thompson's best officers. They have no guards, no patrols, no security. They never imagined anyone would dare attack them. That's what 10,000 years of dominance does to you, Thompson replied. You forget that the galaxy can fight back. The human war machine was fueled by rage, but it was guided by cold intelligence. Helen Price had studied every second of alien behavior from the Horizon Dawn recording. She knew exactly how the Veltar thought. They're apex predators, she explained to a room full of military leaders. They expect everything else to run or submit. They have no experience fighting an enemy that refuses to give up. What's their weakness? Asked Admiral Coleman. Arrogance, Dr. Price said. They're so sure of their superiority that they've never prepared for real war. Their ships are designed to intimidate, not to fight desperate enemies. Their tactics assume the enemy will break and run. General Amy Foster leaned forward. And humans don't break and run. No, Dr. Price said. Humans get angry, and angry humans are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. The preparation was total. Every human world contributed something to the war effort. Mars provided ships and weapons. Earth provided soldiers and supplies. The outer colonies provided the hardest, most determined fighters humanity had ever produced. Children born after the Horizon Dawn incident grew up with one purpose: to serve in the war against the aliens who had murdered Captain Martinez. They called themselves the Dawn Generation, and they were raised to be perfect soldiers. Steve Parker was one of these children. At 16, he was already training for command school. He had memorized every detail of the Horizon Dawn's final transmission. He could recite Captain Martinez's last words from memory. Why do we fight? His instructor asked during a training exercise. Because they laughed when they killed our people, Steve replied. Because they called us insects. Because they thought 6 months was enough time to forget. And what will we show them? That 6 months is enough time to end their empire. As the 4th month of hibernation began, humanity was ready. 7,000 warships waited in the darkness beyond Veltar space. Each ship carried weapons designed specifically to kill the aliens who had started this war. Admiral Mitchell stood on his flagship looking at the tactical display. Every world was marked, every target identified. When the aliens woke up, they would find humanity waiting for them. "All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Mitchell," he said into his communication system. "The enemy sleeps for 2 more months. When they wake up, they will find a changed galaxy. They will find us." He paused, thinking of Captain Martinez and the crew of the Horizon Dawn. "They wanted to step on insects," he said. "Instead, they woke up the Hornets." High Commander Veltar was the first Veltar to wake from hibernation. As the leader of their empire, he always emerged a day before the others to check on their territory. He walked to his command center expecting to see the same peaceful galaxy they had left 6 months ago. Instead, his screen showed something impossible. Massive fleets of unknown ships surrounded every Veltar world. The vessels were dark and angular, unlike anything in their databases. There were thousands of them. "Computer, identify these ships," he commanded. "Unknown design, no match in Imperial record." Technology appears to be primitive but present in overwhelming numbers. Veltar felt the first stirring of something he hadn't experienced in centuries: concern. The Veltar had ruled for so long that they had forgotten what it meant to face a real threat. "Wake Commander Zathol, immediately," he ordered. Commander Zathol, the alien who had destroyed the Horizon Dawn, emerged from hibernation confused and angry. He had been dreaming of the peaceful years ahead, and waking early always made him irritable. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded. "Look at the screens," Veltar said. Zathol studied the display showing human fleets positioned around their worlds. The ships were arranged in perfect attack formations, waiting like hungry predators around sleeping prey. "Impossible," he said. "No species in this sector has such numbers. Where did they come from?" Fleet Admiral Matt Thompson commanded the human armada from his flagship, Earth's Vengeance. The ship was 5 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy small moons. He stood on the bridge watching the Veltar wake up to their new reality. "Sir," reported Captain Diane Wells, "we're detecting increased activity on Veltar worlds. They're starting to wake up." "Good," Admiral Thompson said. "Send the message." The communication went out simultaneously to every Veltar world and it was broadcast on all frequencies, impossible to ignore or block. The message was simple and delivered by Ambassador Steve Parker, speaking for all of humanity. "Attention Veltar Empire. 6 months ago, you destroyed the human research vessel, Horizon Dawn. You murdered 12 innocent people who came to you in peace. You called us insects, and laughed at our deaths." Veltar recognized the species name immediately. Humans were the tiny creatures they had eliminated near the outer rim. He had barely remembered the incident until now. "You made 2 mistakes, the human voice continued. "First, you assumed we would forget. Second, you took a nap. We used those 6 months to prepare your extinction." Commander Zathol snarled. "Insects dare to threaten us. Activate all defense systems. Prepare the fleet for battle." But as the Veltar tried to respond, they discovered how thoroughly the humans had prepared. Their long-range communications were jammed. Their defense satellites had been quietly destroyed months ago. Even their sensor networks had been infiltrated and compromised. "How is this possible?" Veltar demanded. "We are the dominant species. Our technology is superior." "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the human ships are using our own technology against us. They've reverse-engineered everything and improved it." The humans had indeed learned from the Horizon Dawn's recording. Every piece of Veltar technology had been studied, copied and enhanced. Dr. Susan Clark's teams had made the aliens' own weapons more deadly than the originals. Admiral Thompson opened a direct channel to the Veltar command ship. "Hi Commander Veltar, I am Fleet Admiral Thompson of the United Human Forces. You will surrender immediately." "Surrender?" Veltar was shocked. No one had demanded surrender in thousands of years. "You are insects. We will crush you as we should have crushed your pathetic research ship." "That research ship carried scientists," Admiral Thompson replied. "This fleet carries soldiers. There's a difference." The first battle began at the Veltar military stronghold of Cathar. Commander Zathol led their defense fleet, confident that superior technology would overcome human numbers. He commanded 200 of their most advanced warships. The humans sent 5,000 ships against him. The battle was over in 30 minutes. Veltar weapons were powerful, but they were designed for intimidation, not warfare. Their ships were built to look impressive, not to survive concentrated attacks from determined enemies. Human ships, built by people who remembered the Horizon Dawn, were designed for one purpose: to kill Veltar. They swarmed the alien vessels like angry insects, exactly as the aliens had once described them. Impossible. Zathul transmitted as his flagship died around him. We are the masters of this galaxy. Came the human reply, past tense. The pattern repeated across the Veltar Empire. On every world, the aliens woke to find human fleets waiting. Their defense forces, designed to police subjects rather than fight wars, crumbled under human assault. General Alex Cohen led the ground invasions while Admiral Beth Morgan commanded orbital bombardment. The humans fought with scientific precision, targeting not random buildings, but specific systems that kept civilization running. We're not here for revenge, General Cohen told his troops. We're here for extinction. High Commander Veltan tried desperately to rally his empire. He sent messages to every world, calling for total resistance. But the humans had studied their enemy too well. They knew exactly how Veltar society worked and how to break it. Please, Veltan finally transmitted to the human fleet. We can negotiate. We have technology to offer, resources, territory, anything you want. Ambassador Steve Parker responded for humanity. We want what you took from Captain Martinez and his crew, their lives. Since you can't give us that, we'll settle for yours. But we are an ancient race, Veltan pleaded. We have contributed to galactic civilization for millennia. You contributed murder and arrogance, Parker replied. The galaxy will be better without you. The humans offered the Veltar the same mercy they had shown the Horizon Dawn. Every attempt at negotiation was met with the same response. The aliens had shown their true nature when they casually murdered humans for entertainment. Now they would face the consequences. Dr. Helen Price monitored the alien communications from Earth. She watched as the proud Veltar Empire began to panic, then beg, then break apart completely. They still don't understand, she told Admiral Coleman. They think this is about territory or resources. They can't comprehend that we simply want them gone. Should we explain it to them? Why? They didn't explain to Captain Martinez why they were going to kill him. They just did it. As their empire crumbled, the surviving Veltar began to understand what they had awakened. These humans weren't trying to conquer or enslave them. The humans wanted something much simpler and more terrifying: complete extinction. The galaxy watched in amazement and horror as humanity systematically dismantled the Veltar Empire. Other alien species, who had feared the Veltar for thousands of years, suddenly realized there was something far more dangerous in the galaxy. Species that had once dismissed humans as primitive newcomers began sending urgent diplomatic messages to Earth. They wanted to assure humanity of their friendship and eternal peace. The message was always the same: we are not the Veltar, we mean you no harm. Humanity's response was equally consistent: then you have nothing to fear from us. But across the galaxy, alien civilizations began to change their policies toward the species they had once considered insignificant. The humans had taught everyone a valuable lesson. Never, ever make the mistake of calling them insects. The war lasted 3 more months. What the Veltar had built over 10,000 years, humanity destroyed in 90 days. It wasn't random destruction or mindless revenge. It was systematic, scientific, and complete. General Alex Cohen stood in the ruins of the Veltar capital city on their homeworld of Velara. The once mighty towers that had ruled a galactic empire were now twisted metal and broken stone. His soldiers moved through the wreckage with quiet efficiency. All primary targets eliminated, reported Colonel Nancy Green. Industrial capacity destroyed, food production centers eliminated, breeding facilities neutralized. General Cohen nodded. The humans weren't just winning a war. They were erasing a species from existence. Every Veltar world received the same treatment: total destruction of everything needed to sustain their civilization. What about survivors? He asked. Scattered groups hiding in the outer systems, Colonel Green replied. Admiral Morgan's fleets are hunting them down. Admiral Beth Morgan commanded the pursuit fleets from her flagship Horizon's Revenge. Her ship swept through space like death itself, finding every hidden Veltar base and refugee convoy. There would be no escape, no rebuilding, no second chances. Contact on long-range sensors, her tactical officer reported. Veltar transport convoy fleeing toward the galactic rim. Intercept and destroy, Admiral Morgan ordered. No survivors. The convoy was carrying children and elderly, the last remnants of their race trying to flee to unknown space. It didn't matter to the humans. The Veltar had shown no mercy to the families of the Horizon Dawn crew. They would receive none in return. High Commander Veltar was captured alive on his homeworld. He had tried to fight to the end, but human soldiers had surrounded his bunker and taken him prisoner. Now he sat in a cell aboard Admiral Thompson's flagship, waiting for his final judgment. The cell door opened. A young human officer entered. He was tall and lean with the hard eyes of someone born for war. His uniform bore the insignia of a captain. "I am Captain Jake Martinez, Jr.," the human said. "My father commanded the Horizon Dawn." Veltar looked up at the son of the human he had ordered killed. The family resemblance was clear, the same determined eyes, the same calm voice. But where the father had offered friendship, the son offered only justice. "Your father was weak," Veltar said, trying to maintain some dignity. "He begged for his life like a coward." Captain Martinez smiled coldly. "My father tried to save his crew. He died trying to make peace with monsters. I won't make the same mistake." "You think you've won?" Veltar asked. "Other species will see what you've done. They'll unite against you. You've made yourselves the enemy of the galaxy." "No," Captain Martinez replied. "We've made ourselves the apex predator. There's a difference." He activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Dozens of alien species were sending diplomatic messages to Earth. All of them carried the same theme: friendship, peace, and respect for human territory. "Every species that once ignored us is now begging for our friendship," Captain Martinez said. "They've learned what happens when you call humans insects." Veltar stared at the display in growing horror. The galaxy that had once bowed to Veltar power was now terrified of human wrath. In 6 months, humanity had gone from unknown explorers to the most feared species in known space. "We ruled for 10,000 years, Veltar whispered. "Past tense again," Captain Martinez said. "You ruled until you met us." The final battle took place at Keithmore, the last Veltar stronghold. Commander Zethal, the alien who had personally destroyed the Horizon Dawn, had gathered the remnants of their fleet for one final stand. 200 ships faced off against 5,000 human vessels. "This is Commander Zethal to all human forces," he transmitted. "I am the one who destroyed your pathetic research ship. I am the one who killed your precious Captain Martinez. If you want revenge, come and take it." Admiral Thompson personally commanded the final assault. "All ships, this is Admiral Thompson. The alien who speaks killed Captain Martinez and his crew. Today we return the favor." The battle was brief and absolute. Human ships surrounded the Veltar fleet and fired simultaneously. In 5 minutes, 200 alien warships became expanding clouds of debris. Commander Zethal died as he had lived, without honor. With his death, the Veltar Empire ceased to exist. Dr. Helen Price published her final report on the war 3 months later. She had studied every aspect of the conflict from the initial contact to the final extinction. Her conclusions were read throughout human space and beyond. "The Veltar made a fundamental error," she wrote. "They assumed that technological superiority equaled evolutionary dominance. They forgot that the most dangerous trait in the galaxy isn't advanced weapons or long lifespans. It's the ability to adapt and grow stronger under pressure." Humanity spent 6 months transforming from peaceful explorers into galactic apex predators. The Veltar spent the same 6 months sleeping. This difference in approach determined the outcome of the war. Her report became required reading in alien diplomatic schools across the galaxy. Every species wanted to understand how the humans had achieved such complete victory so quickly. The answer was simple. When you try to step on humanity, you discover they're not insects. They're something much more dangerous. Ambassador Steve Parker established the new human embassy on the former Veltar homeworld. The building was constructed from the ruins of their imperial palace. Alien diplomats from across the galaxy came to pay their respects to the species that had rewritten the rules of galactic power. "What are humanity's intentions now?" asked the Zaparian ambassador during one meeting. "The same as they always were," Parker replied. "We want to explore, learn, and make friends with peaceful species and hostile species." Parker gestured toward the ruins of the Veltar capital, visible through his office window. "We've made our position clear on that subject." The galaxy had indeed learned its lesson. Within a year of the Veltar extinction, dozens of species had established formal diplomatic relations with humanity. Trade agreements were signed, scientific exchanges were arranged, cultural festivals were planned, but underneath all the friendship and cooperation was a deeper understanding. Humanity was no longer the naive species that had sent the Horizon Dawn on a peaceful mission. They had become something harder, more dangerous, more capable of total war than anyone had imagined. Captain Jake Martinez, Jr. was promoted to Admiral and given command of the new deep space exploration fleets. These ships carried the same mission as his father's vessel, to seek out new life and make peaceful contact. But they also carried weapons that could destroy entire star systems. On the anniversary of the Horizon Dawn's destruction, Admiral Martinez stood on the bridge of his flagship, Remember Dawn. He was returning to the coordinates where his father had died, now part of human-controlled space. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving a distress signal from an unknown alien vessel." Admiral Martinez studied the sensor readings. A small ship, probably explorers like his father had been. They were in trouble and asking for help. "Open communications," he ordered. "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Martinez of the human Deep Space Fleet. We received your distress call. Do you require assistance?" The alien response came quickly. "Yes, please. We are peaceful explorers from the Andromedan colonies. Our engines have failed." Admiral Martinez smiled. These aliens had been polite, asked for help properly, and identified themselves as peaceful. They had learned the lessons the Veltar had died ignoring. "We're sending assistance," he replied. "Welcome to human space. We hope your stay is pleasant." As rescue ships moved to help the stranded aliens, Admiral Martinez thought about his father. Captain Martinez had died trying to make friends with monsters. His son had spent 6 months teaching the galaxy why that had been a mistake. Now the galaxy was full of friends, all of them very careful to stay friendly. The phrase "Remember the Dawn" was carved into every human ship and station. It served as both memorial and warning. Remember the crew that died trying to make peace. Remember what happens to species that mistake human kindness for weakness. The galaxy remembered, and humanity made sure it never forgot.